focusing on the other, supernatural elements, and stereotypical horror tropes. The intro of the film showcases a doll being sewn together in a room covered in dust and cobwebs, only presenting vintage sewing material. The puncture of the doll's body, through mainly their eyes, is inherently penetrative towards the female body. Although being done by a woman, this indulges in a feminist perspective, though relying on masculine tropes. Additionally, the concept of the other is incepted immediately, as we see a set of hands crafting the doll that are not of a human's hand. This person is depicted as a woman, known as the beldam, who is a powerful and malevolent witch or fae creature, which introduces the element of the supernatural and paranormal. The inclusion of the doll holds a key element of magic and religious rituals, and have been used historically as a representation of deities. The doll is released from metallic fingers, creating a cold distance from the doll into the darkness of the night, continuing an ominous suspense. Within Coraline's gray-hued reality, she finds herself yearning for adventure and understanding from her parents. The viewer can notice that her surroundings are almost abnormally gray in places that should have some level of color to them. She, in this way, stands out, along with her actions as the only vibrant matters in this scene. She chooses to indulge in her undaunted desires by utilizing a dowsing rod. Using dowsing rods, or water witching, is known to assist in finding structures underground from the assistance of spirits. Coraline is shown following her set of rods, which came from poison oak, which additionally forewarns the reader she may be on a poisonous path, so to speak. Coraline follows his path until she lands on a well, which is circulated by mushrooms. A circular formation of mushrooms is also known as a fairy ring, further indicating that the supernatural is at play. This well then refers back to the main mystical villain, the beldam, as this is one of her portals to the other world.
Know it? Not talking, huh? Magic dowser, show me the well!
Coraline is reliant on cliché horror tropes, which creates the base plot for the film by showing her family moving to a new house that is probably haunted or has a supernatural backstory. Her parents don't pay much attention to her, and the inclusion of the doll as the main support system. The crisis of childhood identity and the family unit leads explicitly to the idea of roaming and the exploration of the other. Coraline's invisibility, depicted through how others perceive her, is significant to the film's theme of crisis. Her identities are in flux insomuch as they shift and change within the film, and the family unit as a whole remains under constant threat.
One boring blue boy in a painfully boring painting. 4 incredibly boring windows. And no more.
There are 2 dual settings being presented within the film. The first being the real overworld, where her life is drained from color and shown through a gray and occasionally blue scale. Her house is decrepit and dusty and cast in a low light, with even Coraline stating, "boring blue boy," and 4 boring windows. Her life is literally drained of color and excitement. Additionally, the idea of A Terrible Place by Carol J. Clover is presented within this scene, which is most often a house or tunnel, in which the victims sooner or later find themselves in a vulnerable element of horror. The house or tunnel may at first seem a safe haven, But the same walls that promise to keep the killer out quickly become, once the killer penetrates them, the wall that holds the victim in. Tunnels, or terrible tunnels, are also described as dark, labyrinth, and existless.
Bricks? I don't get it.
They must have closed this off when they divided up the house.
You're kidding. And why is the door so small?
We made a deal. Zip it.
The underworld, which is only accessed through an ominous purple, black, and blue tunnel, which is apparently only activated on certain occasions, mostly being in the middle of the night. The paranormal has its influence within the scene as the overworld becomes distorted as seen through the windows with spiral swirling clouds. The real is being distorted into the other. The audience is lulled into the magical elements of the story, in its accordion-like tunnel and dark hallway that seem to be alive with its whimsical music that overlays the passage. Coraline crosses the threshold into the other world, a perfect copy of the overworld, with the addition of its vibrancy, as seen in this scene. Coraline is attracted to the facade by its appealing appearance of promises of a better life. Coraline discovers that the other world is not what it first appears to be as. As Coraline learns that the inhabitants of the other world are not who they appear, the vivid colors and ostensibly joyful mood start to reveal a dark and frightening undertone. The other mother wants to imprison Coraline there permanently, and the facade is built to do just that. When Coraline is imprisoned in a world that is not her own and is unable to flee, this feeling of confinement and entrapment enhances the horror components of the movie.
No! Where are you?
The main villain is the other mother, who is the beldam. The beldam is a type of witch or evil spirit that has the ability to impersonate others. In this scene, the viewer is granted an understanding of her actual appearance, a spider-like woman. In horror movies, spiders have always alluded to darkness or evil, hence her appearance. Additionally, the beldam eats the souls of the children. This is a common element in horror movies, that the main villain is a witch, evil spirit, or their main target as their children, which is depicted through the ghost children as the scene where they aid Coraline in closing the tunnel door. Now the tunnel has lost its wonder as the facade has died, like the slow death of the beldam, showing its terrible and true nature. The gaze is employed throughout the entirety of the movie, in which has the beldam casting her gaze upon Coraline without literally being able to see her. In this relatively final scene, the beldam's hand continues to attempt to steal and absorb Coraline's agency by wriggling through the tunnel's crack and following her along the path towards the fairy ring. Though this is where the stereotype of the final girl comes into play. Coraline is an unconventional image of the final girl. Coraline represents, as is stated by Clover, she is a distressed female who likely to linger in the memory is the image of the one who did not die, the survivor or final girl. She is the one who encounters the mutilated bodies of her friends, and in this movie that would represent the ghost children, and perceives the full extent of preceding horror and of her own peril, who is chased, cornered, wounded, whom we see scream, stagger, fall, rise, and stream again. She is the one who is abject terror personified. Coraline depicts modern animated horror by focusing on the other, supernatural elements, and stereotypical horror tropes. In sum, Coraline is a masterfully made, whimsical movie that presents stop motion through a dark and fantastical lens.